Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible. You'll want to dismiss it as fiction, as the ravings of a madman. But I swear on whatever shred of humanity I have left, this is real. This is my life. This is what happens when chaos wins. I don't wake up. No one really wakes up here. We just transition from one nightmare to another. The screaming never stops, you see. It's always there, echoing through the charred ruins of what used to be our city. Sometimes I can't tell if it's real or if it's just burned into my memory so deeply that my mind plays it on repeat. My eyes crack open in the half-darkness of our tenement block. The air tastes like copper and ash, blood and burned dreams. My lungs protest with every breath, hacking up black phlegm that I've learned not to look at too closely. The temperature shifts randomly. One moment I'm shivering, the next I'm sweating through my rags. The warp has corrupted even the weather itself. Around me, shapes stir. We're packed 30, maybe 40 to a room. I've stopped counting. People die, new ones are brought in. The cycle continues. An old woman near the wall is muttering something. Prayers to the Emperor, I think, though they come out garbled and backwards. Poor soul. She won't last another week if the overseers hear her, then it comes. The sound that officially starts our day, a vox horn somewhere in the ruins, harsh, discordant, deliberately painful to hear. It crackles with static and something worse, something underneath that sounds almost like laughter. The words pour out, half gothic, half something demonic that makes my teeth ache. That's our alarm clock. That's how we know it's time to begin another day in hell. I force myself up. My back screams in protest. Yesterday's labor has left it a mass of bruises and half-healed lash marks. But you move anyway. You always move. Because hesitation here isn't measured in seconds. It's measured in how many pieces of you they'll leave behind. We file out like livestock. And that's exactly what we are, livestock. The courtyard used to be a plaza where citizens gathered for festivals. I remember bringing my daughter here once, before everything. Now the imperial statues are toppled, defaced with the 8-pointed star, their faces smashed beyond recognition. In their place stand iron spikes decorated with skulls. Some of those skulls are fresh, some I recognize. The overseer is already waiting. He's human, or was once. Now he's something else, something that chose this. He wears spiked leather that reeks of tanning oils and something sweet and rotten. His face is a mask of casual cruelty. He doesn't see us as people. We're numbers on his data slate, entries in a ledger of suffering. We line up in rows, 30 across, maybe 20 deep. I keep my eyes down, always down. Eye contact is defiance. Defiance is death, or worse, subjects. His voice cracks across the courtyard like a whip. Another glorious day in service to the true gods. You should be grateful. Grateful that you're allowed to contribute to the great work. Great work. That's what they call it. The dismantling of our civilization, brick by brick, corpse by corpse. He starts calling names. Not our real names, those don't matter anymore, numbers, designations. Group 7 Beta to the Forge. Group 12 Gamma to the excavation site. Group 20 Delta, I'm 20 Delta. I don't remember my real name anymore. Isn't that funny? I've forgotten my own name. But before the work assignments, there's the morning ritual. And this is where it gets truly obscene. The Vox speakers crackle to life and a voice begins leading us in what they call a prayer. It's not a prayer, it's blasphemy weaponized. Words that burn my throat to speak, praising dark gods I can't even comprehend. We're expected to repeat them with enthusiasm. The false emperor is carrion on his throne. My lips move. I hate myself for it, but they move. Everyone's lips move. To do otherwise is to invite attention, and attention from the overseers is something you avoid at all costs. The ruinous powers are truth and strength. I can see tears streaming down some faces as they chant. Others have adopted that distant, glassy-eyed stare, the look of someone whose mind has gone somewhere else entirely. And then there are the new converts, the broken ones who've actually started to believe. They chant with fervor, hoping to curry favor, to climb even one rung up from the absolute bottom of this pit. I remember when we used to recite the Imperial Creed. I used to find it tedious, routine. Emperor, forgive me. I used to complain about having to stand for morning prayers. Now I would give anything to hear those simple, honest words again. The chanting continues for what feels like hours, but is probably only 15 minutes. My voice is hoarse by the end. Around me I hear coughing, wheezing. The old woman from our hab block is crying openly now, still muttering her backwards prayers even as she echoes the blasphemy. Finally, Mercifully, it ends. The overseer seems satisfied with our performance today. That means no examples will be made. Not yet, anyway. Chains. They bring out the chains. This is new. They didn't do this last week. Someone must have tried to run. Someone always tries to run. They never make it far, but the punishment is collective. Now we're chained together in coffles of 20, neck to neck like slaves being marched to market, which I suppose is exactly what we are. The cold metal collar clicks around my throat. I feel it connect to the person in front of me, a young man barely 20, with a fresh mutation spreading across his left cheek. Scales dark and iridescent. He catches me looking and quickly turns away in shame. We begin to move, a lurching, shuffling procession through the ruins. The chain rattles with each step, creating a rhythm that has become the soundtrack of our lives. Rattle step, rattle step, rattle step. The destination changes daily. Sometimes it's the munitions factories where we spend 16 hours loading shells under the watch of corrupted servitors. Sometimes it's the excavation sites, where we dig through the rubble of our former lives, pulling out anything useful to feed into the war machine. Today, judging by the direction we're heading, it's the grand construction site. They're building something massive in the center of the old civic district. A temple, they call it. But temple is too clean a word. It's an obscenity in stone and metal, a structure that hurts to look at, with geometry that shouldn't be possible. The foundations alone have consumed thousands of lives, some literally. I've seen workers fall into the still wet concrete and the overseers just shrug and keep building. The screaming stops after a while. As we march, I notice the city around us. Or what's left of it. Smoke columns rise from every direction. Some are from the factories running day and night. Others are from pyres, bodies, garbage, anything that needs burning. The sky is the color of an old bruise, purple and yellow and wrong. And the smell. You never get used to the smell. We pass by a crucified figure on the side of the road. I deliberately don't look at the face. I can't afford to recognize anyone. Can't afford to feel. But I catch a glimpse anyway. It's Marcus, who used to work in the administratum. His crime? He was overheard saying the emperor's name without the prefix false. They've left him up there for 3 days now. He's still breathing somehow. The overseers consider that a miracle, a sign of the gods' favor. They'll probably leave him up there until he finally dies or transforms into something else entirely. We arrive at the construction site as the sun, if you can call that diseased orb in the sky a sun, reaches its zenith. The site is a vision of hell. Massive machines fused from metal and flesh groan and shriek as they move rubble. They're creations of the dark mechanicum, and they're wrong in ways that defy description. One has human faces embedded in its treads, mouths working silently in eternal screams. Another appears to bleed oil that smells like human blood. We're unchained from our coffles but immediately put to work. My task today is simple in description, impossible in execution. Help haul massive stone blocks from the ruins to the construction area. Each block weighs more than 3 men can comfortably carry, but they only assign 2 of us to each one. The math is deliberate. They want us to struggle. They want us to fail, because failure means punishment, and punishment means entertainment for our masters. I'm paired with an older man I don't know. His arms are rail-thin, wasted from malnutrition. This won't end well. We grip opposite ends of a stone block, slick with something oily and foul. On the overseer's whistle, we lift. Immediately, I feel my back protest. The weight is immense. My partner is already shaking, his breathing rapid and shallow. We take 1 step, then another. The distance to the construction area is maybe 100 meters. It might as well be 100 kilometers. 20 steps in, my partner stumbles. The block tilts dangerously. I try to compensate, taking more of the weight, but it's too much. We're going to drop it. And dropping it means keep moving. The overseer's voice cuts through my panic. I look up and immediately regret it. He's one of the black-suited ones, the worst kind. His mask is featureless except for a grill mouth, and his fingers. Oh, Emperor, his fingers aren't fingers at all. They're syringes, each one filled with something that glows an unnatural green. My partner is sobbing now, trying desperately to keep his grip. But his strength is gone. The block tilts further and I know what's coming. The overseer is on us in seconds. With casual precision, he drives one of those syringe fingers into my partner's neck. The old man's scream is cut short as whatever hellish concoction enters his bloodstream. His eyes roll back, showing only white. Then he jerks upright. grip suddenly iron-strong on the stone block. His face is a rictus of agony, but his body moves with unnatural strength now. We make it to the construction area. We set down the block. My partner collapses immediately, twitching and frothing at the mouth. I want to help him, but I can't. I have to go back for another block. Always another block. Behind me, I hear the overseer's vox-distorted laughter. See? The gods provide strength to the faithful. All you need to do is accept their gifts. Gifts. They call it gifts. The hours blur together after that. Load, carry, unload, repeat. Around me, the other workers move like automatons. Some are crying silently as they work. Others have that same distant stare. And a few, the truly broken ones, are actually chanting prayers to chaos as they labor, as if trying to earn favor through zealous service. The construction site is a maze of suffering. Everywhere I look, there's fresh horror. A woman falls from a scaffold 30 meters up. Her scream cuts off abruptly when she hits the ground. The overseers don't even pause. A servitor scoops up the body and deposits it in one of the recycler vats. Nothing goes to waste here. Nothing. Near the central foundation, I see something that makes my blood freeze. They've embedded people into the structure itself. Living people, sealed into the walls with only their faces visible, mouths working in silent screams. This is what they mean by consecrating the temple. This is how they make it holy in the eyes of their dark gods. I force myself to look away and keep working. That's the key to survival here. Don't look, don't think, don't feel. Just work until you can't anymore. When the horn sounds for our break, I collapse where I stand. My hands are bleeding from dozens of small cuts. My back feels like it's been beaten with hammers. But I'm alive. For now, that has to be enough. The food arrives, if you can call it food. An overseer trudges down the line with a tank on his back, dispensing a gray-brown sludge into our cupped hands. There are no bowls, no utensils. We eat like animals, scooping the paste directly into our mouths. The taste is indescribable. Imagine iron filings mixed with bile and something sweet and rotten. But I eat it anyway, we all do. The alternative is starvation, and starving people don't last long here. As I'm choking down my ration, I notice something new. A group of workers off to the side wearing slightly better clothes, eating from actual bowls. They're the new converts, the ones who've genuinely embraced chaos. They're rewarded with marginally better conditions, proof that surrender brings its own perks. One of them catches my eye. It's Jenna, who used to teach at the Skalam. She's wearing the 8-pointed star openly now, branded right into her forehead. When she sees me looking, she smiles. It's not a happy smile. It's the smile of someone who's made peace with damnation. I look away quickly. Can't judge her. Can't judge anyone for the choices they make to survive. But it still hurts to see. The break is short, maybe 15 minutes. During that time, I notice something happening at the far end of the construction site. A commotion, voices raised in what might be excitement. Then I see them. Chaos Space Marines. They stride through our work area like giants among insects. Their armor is the color of dried blood, marked with golden scripture that writhes and changes when you try to read it. Word-bearers, I realize, the most zealous of all the traitor legions. At a whistle blast, we all drop to our faces, not kneeling, full prostration, faces in the dirt. It's not respect. It's survival instinct. These beings are so far beyond us that acknowledging their presence could be fatal. I can feel them passing nearby. The ground shakes with each step. The air pressure changes, making my ears pop. And worst of all, I can sense their attention, their regard. It's like being examined by a malevolent god. Even with my face pressed into the dirt, I feel naked, exposed, my every thought visible to their warp-enhanced perception. They pass without incident. But their presence has galvanized the overseers. As soon as the Marines are gone, the work pace doubles. Whips crack more frequently. The black-suited ones are everywhere, their syringe fingers flashing as they encourage us to greater efforts. The message is clear. The masters are watching. We must prove our worth. As what passes for afternoon drags on, exhaustion becomes more than physical. It's spiritual, soul-deep. I'm not carrying stones anymore, I'm carrying the weight of absolute despair. Around me, people are breaking. An older man simply stops moving, sitting down despite the overseer's shouts. They drag him away. We never see where they take people, but we hear the screams later. A younger woman starts laughing hysterically, a sound that devolves into sobs. She's taken away too. And then there are the mutations. I watch in horror as a man 3 positions down from me starts convulsing. His skin ripples and something pushes out from beneath, an extra arm, small and malformed, sprouting from his ribcage. He screams, not in pain, but in ecstasy. "A blessing," he shouts. "The gods have blessed me." An overseer approaches, examining the mutation with interest. He nods approvingly and marks something on his data slate. The mutated man will be reassigned, probably to one of the cult cells. In the hierarchy of the damned, he's just moved up a level. I keep my head down and keep working. No mutations for me yet. I don't know if I should be grateful or disappointed. Would it be easier to embrace the change? To let the warp take me and transform me into something that doesn't feel this constant crushing despair? No, not yet. I'm not ready to surrender that last shred of humanity. The work continues until the second horn sounds, the signal for day's end. But it's not truly the end. It's never really the end. We're herded back toward our hab blocks in loose formations, exhausted beyond measure. The chains are removed from our necks, leaving raw rings of abraded skin. I can feel blood trickling down my collarbone, but it's minor. Tomorrow it will scab over, and the day after that the chains will rub it raw again. The cycle continues. The hab block is a converted tenement that might have housed 20 families comfortably in the old days. Now it holds 200 of us, packed so tightly that sleeping requires taking turns. The smell inside is overwhelming, unwashed bodies, infection, despair. But it's shelter. And after a day like today, even this cesspit feels like sanctuary. I find my spot in the corner and collapse. My muscles are screaming. Every part of me hurts. Around me, others are doing the same, collapsing, crying quietly, or just staring at nothing. A tin cup of water is passed around. When it reaches me, there's maybe a mouthful left. It tastes like rust and chemicals, but it's wet. I swallow it gratefully and pass the empty cup on. Night is falling, though you can barely tell. The darkness here is different from natural night. It's thicker, more oppressive, as if the shadows themselves have substance. And with the darkness come the sounds. Howls from the mutant warhounds patrolling the perimeter. The clank of servitor sentries, and worst of all, the screams. They always do the executions at night. The punishments, the examples. We can hear them from our hab block, the pleading, the begging, and then the final terrible silence. Or sometimes not silence. Sometimes the screaming continues long past the point where a person should have died. Those are the ones being transformed into something else. I try not to listen. I try to think about before, about my wife, my daughter, the simple pleasures of a normal life. But those memories are fading, worn smooth by constant rehearsal like an old coin. Soon I won't remember what happiness felt like. Around me, people begin settling in for sleep. Some whisper to each other, offering what meager comfort they can. Others pray quietly, some to the Emperor, some to the dark gods. I judge neither group. We all do what we must to survive. I notice the old woman from this morning is still muttering her backwards prayers. She's been doing it all day, even during work. I wonder how long before the overseers notice. I wonder if I should warn her. But before I can decide, exhaustion claims me, dragging me down into uneasy sleep. Sleep here is never peaceful. The warp has contaminated even our dreams. I'm standing in the plaza again, but it's the plaza from before. Clean, bright. My daughter is there, laughing, chasing butterflies. I try to call out to her, but my voice won't work. She turns to look at me and her face melts away, revealing something underneath. Something with too many eyes and a mouth that opens in impossible directions. I jerk awake, gasping. Around me, others are moaning in their sleep, trapped in their own nightmares. One man is sobbing. Another is laughing, a high hysterical sound that abruptly cuts off. And then I hear something else. A wet, slithering sound. Movement in the darkness. I freeze, every instinct screaming danger. But I don't dare move. Don't dare make a sound. The slithering passes by my corner. I catch a glimpse of something. A shape that shouldn't exist, with appendages that bend in wrong directions. Then it's gone, taking the new convert from the far corner with it. The man doesn't even have time to scream. In the morning, his bunk will be empty. No one will ask what happened. We all know. The warp takes its toll in countless ways. I lie there in the darkness, eyes wide open, too terrified to sleep again. This is how we spend our nights. Balance between exhaustion and terror, never fully resting, never fully awake. Outside, the warhounds howl their endless patrol. The night continues its slow crawl toward another dawn. And we wait, trapped in this moment between one nightmare and the next. When the Vox horn sounds again, the signal of a new day, I realize with dull horror that I can't tell if I slept at all. Did hours pass or minutes? Time has become meaningless here. Just another thing that chaos has broken. The old woman is still alive, still muttering. But I notice her prayers have changed. Now she's incorporating the chaos chants into her devotions, blending them with the Imperial creed in a confused jumble. The line between resistance and surrender grows thinner every day. We rise. We assemble. We chant the blasphemous words. We march to our labor. The cycle repeats. This is existence under chaos rule. Not a single day, but every day. Not a unique horror, but the same horror. Endlessly recycled, eternally repeated. We are caught in a loop of suffering that has no beginning and no end, only an eternal grinding middle. And the worst part? We adapt. Humans can adapt to anything, even this. What seemed impossible to endure yesterday becomes routine today. The atrocities that made us weep last week barely register this week. We're being worn down, smoothed away, our humanity eroded one day at a time. This is how chaos wins. Not through dramatic conquest, but through the slow transformation of the conquered. One day you're a citizen of the Imperium. The next you're a slave to chaos, and eventually, if you survive long enough, you become something else entirely. A willing servant. A true believer. A thing that has forgotten it was ever human. I look at the new converts with their branded foreheads and their zealous chants, and I wonder, how long until that's me? How many more days can I hold out before I surrender? Before I accept the gifts of the dark gods in exchange for an easier existence? I don't know. And that uncertainty might be the cruelest torture of all. But tonight is different. Tonight is special. The word has been passed through the overseer ranks with barely contained excitement. There will be a ceremony. A great ritual to mark the anniversary of the planet's fall. We're not given a choice about attendance. We never are. As the sickly twilight deepens, we're herded en masse to the central plaza. All of us, workers, slaves, collaborators, everyone. Thousands of people forming a living amphitheater around the reconstructed temple site. The air feels wrong, charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. I can taste copper on my tongue and the hair on my arms is standing up. The warp is close tonight. Very close. The plaza has been transformed. The broken imperial statues have been arranged in a circle, like witnesses to our damnation. Between them, towering iron spikes have been erected, each one topped with a brazier of hellfire that burns without fuel, casting purple and green shadows that move independently of the flames. We're forced to our knees in concentric rings. I'm in the middle section, close enough to see everything but far enough back that I just might avoid direct attention. Around me, people are praying, some to the Emperor, whispered and desperate, others to the dark gods, loud and fervent. Then the word-bearers arrive. They emerge from the temple like demigods of old, their crimson armor polished to a mirror sheen, reflecting the hellfire in twisted patterns. But it's the one in the center who commands all attention, the Dark Apostle. His armor is a work of profane art, every surface covered in scripture that writhes and rewrites itself even as I watch. Bones and skulls hang from chains, trophies from 1,000 conquests. His helmet is off, revealing a face that's almost beautiful in its cruelty, marked with ritual scarification that forms patterns sacred to the dark gods. Behind him, a choir of cultists begins to chant. The sound is harmonic and hideous all at once, voices blending in ways that shouldn't be possible, creating undertones that vibrate in my chest cavity. The Dark Apostle raises his arms, and silence falls. When he speaks, his voice is amplified by the acoustics of the plaza and by something else. Warp-enhanced projection that makes every word feel like it's being spoken directly into my skull. Children of chaos. Slaves of the true gods. Tonight we celebrate. Tonight we give thanks. Tonight we offer sacrifice. A roar goes up from the cultists and converts. The rest of us, the unconverted, try to make sufficient noise to avoid attention. I hear my own voice joining the cheering and I hate myself for it. Then they bring out the prisoners, 10 of them chained together, wearing only rags. I recognize most of them. Members of the resistance cell that tried to sabotage the water purifiers last month. They failed, obviously, and now they'll pay the price, but it's worse than I thought. Because one of them, Emperor, no, one of them is Sella, the teacher from our Hab block. The gentle woman who used to comfort children during the worst nights. She's third in line, her face already painted with sigils in her own blood. I want to look away. I can't. None of us can. We're required to watch. The Dark Apostle begins his sermon properly now, speaking in the dark tongue, a language that shouldn't exist, that makes reality itself flinch. I don't understand the words, but I understand the meaning. It seeps into my brain like poison, carrying concepts of eternal war, glorious suffering, transcendent violence. Around the Apostle, the space begins to distort. The air shimmers and warps. I can see things moving in that distortion, shapes that hurt to perceive, geometries that violate natural law. Then the sacrifices begin. The first prisoner, a man I don't know, is dragged to a brass altar. The Dark Apostle produces a knife. No, not a knife, a demon weapon that writhes in his grip like a living thing. He speaks the name of Korn and brings the blade down. Blood fountains upward, impossibly high, impossibly bright. It doesn't fall like normal blood. It spirals into the air, forming patterns, runes, scripture written in vital fluid. The corpse is tossed aside, still twitching. The second prisoner is a woman. For her, they light a pyre of human bones. She's tied to a post as the flames rise. But these aren't normal flames, they're pink and gold, dancing with an obscene beauty. As they consume her, her screams take on a musical quality, rising and falling in perfect pitch. The cultists sway to the rhythm. I realize with horror that I'm swaying too. The sound is compelling, seductive, wrong. This is how Slaanesh claims souls, through beauty twisted into nightmare. When the flames die, there's nothing left but ash that sparkles like glitter. The third prisoner is Selah. I want to close my eyes. I can't. To look away would be noticed, would mark me. They drag her to a pool that's been carved into the plaza floor, filled with something thick and fetid. The stench reaches even to my position. This is for Nurgle, the plague god. She struggles as they force her head under, but there are too many hands holding her down. It takes a long time. Too long. When they finally pull her out, she's changed. Her skin is mottled green, her eyes yellowed. She's alive but transformed, marked forever by the grandfather's touch. They drag her away, and I know she'll be inducted into one of the plague cults. In a way, this was mercy. She lives after a fashion. The fourth prisoner is the worst. A young man barely out of adolescence. For him, they have something special planned. The Dark Apostle and his sorcerers form a circle around him, chanting. The air itself begins to crack and fracture, reality breaking apart like thin ice. The boy starts screaming, but his voice changes mid-scream, becoming multiple voices, then inhuman sounds. His body begins to shift. Extra limbs sprout only to be reabsorbed. His face melts and reforms in different configurations, human, bestial, impossible. This is Tzeentch's gift. Change without purpose, mutation without end. When it's over, what remains is neither man nor beast. It's a chaos spawn, a mindless horror that represents the ultimate failure of mutation. They chain it and drag it away to be used as a weapon or a guard beast. The boy he was is gone forever, trapped in a prison of eternal transformation. The remaining 6 prisoners face similar fates. Each death is a prayer to a different aspect of chaos. Each sacrifice feeds the ritual, and we're forced to witness every moment, forced to cheer, forced to thank the dark gods for their blessings. But the sacrifices are just the prelude. The true horror is yet to come. As the last prisoner's blood is spilled, the Dark Apostle throws his arms wide and speaks a single word in the dark tongue. The word has weight, substance. I feel it impact my chest like a physical blow. The air above the plaza splits open. I'm going to try to describe what I saw, but words fail. Language itself fails. The human mind wasn't designed to process what appeared above us that night. The tear in reality is violet and black, pulsing like a wound. And through it, things begin to emerge. Demons. Actual, literal demons. The first are bloodletters, crimson-skinned horrors with brass collars and swords that drip fire. They perch on the iron spikes like gargoyles, their skulls' faces grinning down at us with feral intelligence. Then come the plague-bearers, corpulent and diseased, trailing clouds of flies. The stench that follows them makes people vomit. I hear retching all around me, see people doubling over. The demons seem to find this amusing. Demonettes slither through next, impossibly graceful and beautiful and horrifying all at once. To look at them is to feel desire and revulsion in equal measure. Several people in the crowd begin weeping uncontrollably at the sight of them. And finally, the horrors of Tzeentch, dancing flames in vaguely humanoid shapes, cackling with laughter that sounds like reality breaking. They spin and cavort in the air above us, leaving trails of multicolored fire. But it's what comes last that truly breaks us. Through the tear in reality steps something massive, something that dwarfs even the Chaos Space Marines. A greater demon towering 3 stories tall, its form shifting between different configurations. Now a beast, now a warrior, now something abstract and geometric. The Dark Apostle falls to his knees in genuine worship. Blessed be the Prince of Change. Blessed be Tzinch. Blessed be he who reveals all secrets. The demon's voice, when it speaks, is like 1,000 people whispering different words simultaneously. This world is ours. These souls are ours. This reality is ours. Rejoice, mortals, for you have been chosen to witness eternity. And then it laughs. The sound breaks something inside me. I can feel my sanity cracking, feel my grip on reality loosening. Around me, people have started screaming. Some are tearing at their own faces. Others have collapsed into catatonic states. A few, the true believers, are laughing along with the demon, their minds gone entirely. The ritual reaches its crescendo. The demons dance through the crowd, not touching but close enough to feel their presence. Wherever they pass, people change. Mutations blossom like flowers. A woman near me sprouts eyes all over her arms. A man's skin turns to scales. Another begins speaking in tongues. Prophecies pouring from his mouth in languages that predate humanity. I press my face into the dirt, trying to make myself small, invisible, unworthy of attention. I can feel the demon's gaze sweeping across the crowd. Can feel it considering each of us, weighing our souls, deciding who to claim. Please, I think. Please pass me by. I'm not ready. I don't want to change. I don't want to become one of them. The moment stretches into eternity. Then finally the demon's attention moves on. I'm spared. For now, the tear begins to close. The demons retreat back into the warp, still laughing, still promising to return. The greater demon is the last to go, and as it disappears, it speaks one final proclamation. This world is ours. But we are patient. We will wait. We will watch. And when the time is right, when every soul has been turned or broken, we will return in full. This is just the beginning, then it's gone. The tear seals. Reality reasserts itself, though it feels thinner now, more fragile, like paper that's been wetted and dried. We're released finally to stumble back to our hab blocks. Many can't walk on their own and have to be carried. Some will never fully recover from what they witnessed. Their minds are broken, shattered by contact with the divine and the damned. I make it back to my corner and collapse. My hands are shaking. I realize I've bitten through my lip at some point and blood is running down my chin. But I'm alive, unchanged, still human, barely. Around me, others are dealing with the aftermath in their own ways. Some are crying, others are laughing hysterically. And a few, Emperor forgive them, are praying to the dark gods with new fervor, convinced by what they saw that chaos is the only power worth serving. The old woman is silent now. Her backwards prayers have stopped. When I look over, I see why. Her eyes are open but empty, staring at nothing. The ritual broke her completely. By morning she'll be gone, either dead or transformed into something that wears her face. Sleep is impossible after what we witnessed. How do you close your eyes after seeing the veil between worlds torn open? How do you rest when you know with absolute certainty that demons are real, that gods exist and that they want your soul? I lie there in the darkness, listening to the sounds around me, whimpering, muttering, the rustle of bodies shifting restlessly. We're all processing what happened in our own ways, all trying to fit tonight's horror into the framework of our already shattered worldview. Someone near me is praying to Tzinch, begging for visions, for transformation, for meaning in the chaos. Someone else is weeping silently, the kind of crying that comes from a soul that's given up entirely. And in the far corner I hear something worse, laughter. Not hysterical laughter, but genuine amusement, as if something about tonight was funny. I wonder how many of us will make it to morning still ourselves. How many will wake up changed, converted, broken beyond repair? The night drags on endlessly. Every shadow seems to move with purpose. Every sound might be something crawling from the warp to claim us. Paranoia becomes indistinguishable from reasonable caution. When the Vox horn finally sounds, signaling the start of another day, I feel something like relief. At least the waiting is over. At least there's routine again, however horrible. The morning assembly reveals the damage. Out of 200 in our hab block, 15 are gone, simply vanished in the night. Another 20 are clearly changed. New mutations, new marks, new zealotry in their eyes. They're separated from the rest of us immediately, taken to join the cult cells. The old woman is among the missing. Her bunk is empty, her few possessions scattered on the floor. No one mentions her. No one mentions any of them. To acknowledge the missing is to invite questions about why they were taken and we weren't. Better to pretend they never existed. But there's something new this morning. A palpable shift in the atmosphere. The overseers are more aggressive, more demanding. They drive us harder than usual, as if trying to capitalize on our broken state. And among the workers, I notice a change too. More people are wearing the 8-pointed star now, openly displaying their conversion. Last night pushed many over the edge from forced compliance to genuine belief. Can I blame them? After witnessing the raw power of chaos, after seeing gods made manifest, how do you maintain faith in an emperor who never answers, who never comes? The dark gods at least respond. They're here, present, undeniable. But I'm not ready to surrender. Not yet, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but not today. Days blur together after the ritual, or maybe it's weeks. Time has lost all meaning. The routine continues. Wake, assemble, chant, work, sleep, repeat. But everything feels different now. The world is thinner, more fragile. Sometimes I see things in my peripheral vision that disappear when I look directly at them. Sometimes I hear voices that no one else seems to notice. The mutations are accelerating. Every day someone new develops some change. Extra fingers, scales, eyes in wrong places, bones that bend in new directions. Some mutations are subtle, others are dramatic. The overseers catalog each one, deciding who is blessed and who is cursed, who gets elevated and who gets culled. I've developed something myself, a small thing, barely noticeable. The fingers on my left hand have become slightly webbed. I hide it as best I can, wrapping my hand in rags, claiming an injury. So far, no one has noticed, but it's only a matter of time. The work continues. We're building something new now, a massive cathedral to house all 4 dark gods equally. The architecture defies physics. Walls that curve in impossible directions, doorways that lead to spaces larger than the buildings that contain them, windows that show scenes from other worlds, other times. We work until we collapse. When someone dies, and someone always dies, we simply step over the body and continue. The dead are collected at shift's end and processed. Nothing goes to waste. Their bodies feed the furnaces or the recycling vats. Their bones become building materials. Their blood sanctifies the foundations. This is existence now. This is normal. We've adapted to the impossible, accepted the unacceptable, normalized the nightmare. There was a resistance once. In the early days, brave souls tried to fight back, to sabotage the occupation, to send word to the Imperium. I never joined them. Cowardice kept me alive, but I admired them from a distance. Today I watched the last of them die. They're caught, all 15 members of the final resistance cell. Betrayed by one of their own who converted and sought favor with the overseers. They're brought to the central plaza in chains, defiant to the end. The leader, a former PDF sergeant named Valen, spits at the Dark Apostle's feet. "The Emperor protects," he shouts. "He will return. He will save." His words are cut off as the Dark Apostle gestures casually. Valen's mouth seals shut, flesh growing over his lips in seconds. He screams through his nose, a muffled sound of pure terror. "The false Emperor protects?" The Dark Apostle's voice drips with mockery. "Then where is he? Where has he been for these 3 years? Where is your deliverance?" The other resistance members are killed one by one, each death more creative than the last. They're made examples, demonstrations of what happens to those who cling to the old ways. But something unexpected happens. As Valen is finally killed, his body torn apart by demon-summoned winds, he manages one last act of defiance. His blood spraying across the plaza stones forms a pattern. The aquila, the Emperor's symbol. For just a moment the blood glows golden. Just for a moment I feel something, warmth, hope, the distant echo of a power that stands against chaos. Then it's gone, scrubbed away by servitors, forgotten. But I saw it. Others saw it too, and in their eyes I see something I haven't seen in months. Doubt. Doubt that chaos has truly won. Doubt that the Emperor is truly gone. It's a small thing, a tiny ember, but embers can start fires. Months pass, maybe a year. I've lost count. Then comes the announcement that changes everything. We're assembled in the plaza, all of us, thousands of workers and slaves. The Dark Apostle stands before us, flanked by his word-bearers. When he speaks, his voice carries across the crowd with warp-enhanced resonance. Children of chaos, Your service here has been noted. Your labors have pleased the gods. And now you are called to a higher purpose. My blood runs cold. I know what's coming. A great crusade has been launched. The true Imperium expands across the stars. And you faithful servants, will have the honor of joining it. You will take up arms. You will spread the word of the true gods. You will conquer in their names. They're conscripting us, turning us into soldiers for their endless war. Around me, reactions vary. Some people cheer, genuinely excited at the prospect of escaping the work camps. Others, like me, stand in stunned horror. We're not warriors. We're broken civilians, starved and traumatized. What use could we possibly be in battle? But as the Dark Apostle continues, I understand. We're not meant to fight. We're meant to die. Cannon fodder. Human waves to absorb enemy fire while the real soldiers advance. Our lives have no value except as expendable resources. You will be given basic arms and armor. You will be given the honor of charging the enemy lines. And when you fall, if you fall, know that your deaths will be prayers offered to the gods you serve. The selection begins immediately. They're taking the strongest, the youngest, anyone who can hold a laser gun. I try to make myself small, try to blend into the crowd, but it's useless. An overseer points at me. You group 12, just like that, my fate is sealed. In 3 days I'll be shipped off-world to fight in a war I don't believe in, for gods I despise, in a cause that will certainly kill me. The last 3 days are a strange mixture of terror and relief. Terror at what's coming. Relief that the monotony is finally ending one way or another. They give us equipment, if you can call it that. A flak vest so old and worn it probably won't stop a stub around. A laser gun that's been used so many times the barrel is warped. Rations that taste worse than what we were eating before. And a patch to sew onto our rags, the 8-pointed star. We're expected to wear it with pride. We're expected to fight with zeal. We're expected to die with prayers to chaos on our lips. I hold the patch in my hands and think about Valen, about the blood Aquila, about that moment of golden light. Then I sew the star onto my vest, because I have no choice, because survival requires compliance. But inside, in the deepest part of my heart where no overseer can see, where no demon can reach, I whisper a prayer. Not to chaos, to him, to the Emperor who might be dead, who might never hear, who might never come. If you're out there, if any part of you still exists, remember us, remember what was done here. And if you can't save us, at least avenge us. It's a small defiance, meaningless probably, but it's mine. The transport. The transport ship is a nightmare of rusted metal and demon-touched machinery. It groans and shudders even when standing still. The interior reeks of oil and blood and something else. Something that reminds me of the ritual, of the tear in reality. We're packed in like cargo, hundreds of us in holds designed for dozens. There are no seats, no restraints, nothing but bare metal floors and the press of bodies. When the ship launches, the G-forces slam us against the walls. People scream. Bones break. No one helps them. The journey takes days or hours or years. Time doesn't work right in the warp. I see things in the shadows of the hold. Faces that aren't human, shapes that shouldn't exist. Sometimes the metal walls become transparent, showing the raw chaos of the Imperium beyond. It's beautiful and terrible and utterly mad. Some people can't handle it. They start laughing and can't stop. Or they claw at their own eyes. Or they simply curl up and die, their minds unable to process what they're experiencing. I survive by going numb, by shutting down everything except the bare minimum needed to keep breathing. It's a technique I've perfected over years of suffering. When we finally arrive, wherever we've arrived, the ship's belly opens and we're expelled onto a battlefield. I'm not going to describe the battle in detail. I can't. My mind has blocked out most of it as a mercy. What I remember, mud. Endless mud mixed with blood and worse things. The sound of artillery that never stops. Tracer rounds lighting up a sky that's the wrong color. Screaming. So much screaming. We're ordered to charge. We charge. Hundreds of us running across open ground toward an enemy I can't even see properly. Last fire cuts through our ranks like wheat before a scythe. The person next to me simply ceases to exist. Their one moment vaporized the next. I keep running. Not because I'm brave. Because stopping means dying slower. We reach the enemy trenches. I don't know who they are, Imperial Guard maybe, or another Chaos Warband, or Xenos. It doesn't matter. We fight with desperation and terror, clawing and shooting and dying. I kill someone. I don't know how many. I stop thinking of them as people and start thinking of them as obstacles between me and survival. Hours pass. Or minutes. Time has no meaning here, and then impossibly we win. The enemy breaks. They retreat. We hold the ground, though we is generous. 3/4 of our force is dead or dying. I collapse in a crater surrounded by corpses and realize something. I'm still alive. Against all odds, all probability, all reason, I'm still alive. The choice. The aftermath of battle is its own kind of hell. The overseers move through the survivors, cataloging who lived, who can fight again, who should be recycled. I'm marked as fit for continued service. Lucky me, but something has changed. Battle has a way of clarifying things, stripping away the pretense, and I realize I don't want to survive anymore. Not like this. Not as a slave to chaos fighting their wars, spreading their corruption. I'd rather die free than live as a slave. That night, as the army camps in the ruins of whatever world we've conquered, I make my decision. I'm going to run. I'm going to escape. I'll probably die in the attempt, but at least it will be my choice. I wait until the small hours when exhaustion has claimed even the sentries. Then I simply walk away from the camp. One step, then another, then another. Every moment I expect to hear the alarm, to feel the lasbolt in my back, but it doesn't come. I make it to the ruins, to the darkness beyond, to something like freedom. I don't know where I'm going. Don't know if there's anywhere safe on this world or any world, but I'm moving under my own power, by my own will for the first time in years. Maybe I'll survive. Maybe I'll find other refugees, other escapees. Maybe we'll build something new from the ashes of the old. Or maybe I'll die tomorrow alone and afraid in the ruins. But at least I'll die as myself, as a human being who chose defiance over submission, who chose hope over despair even when hope seemed impossible,